Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Well, hello there. Yeah, we're live again. Live for the third time in a day and a half on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and the news doesn't get better. JJ McCarthy, ankle injury, according to Kevin O'Connell at his day after press conference. Is it unlikely to play, or did he just flat rule him out? What was your interpretation there, Judd?
I believe it's unlikely to play, but then he also said he won't need to go. He shouldn't need to go on short-term IR, which means he's unlikely to play for a few weeks, if that's the case, because that's 4 weeks if it's short-term IR. So by saying that, it sounds like they have not decided yet until they actually get more examination of the ankle if he might be going on the short-term IR. So I would say it's safe to say we won't see him against the Bengals, and who knows, we might not see him in Europe.
Okay, super interesting. We'll dig into this and parse this apart. I have a juicy speculative question for you that you can probably see coming from a mile away here. But before we dive in here to some breaking news, Underdog, curious to see what the Carson Wentz numbers are going to be on Underdog this week.
Unofficially, I can say over-under panic meter, Declan, 0.5. Higher. Yes or no? Will I be panic? Yes, you can. That unfortunately is not something you can take on Underdog. But I do have a free pick I saw in my lobby for Monday Night Football. So if you're listening and consuming this episode, go check that out. Plus, plenty of other awesome things. Higher, lower. Sign up with promo code SCORE, SKOR. Download the Underdog app. Play $5. Get $50 in bonus funds. Go download the Underdog app and send me those winning pick'ems.
Okay, Judd, I was in the middle of recording an O-line committee episode, which will drop here soon. We reacted, we did our mics for a bunch of different games, and then like an hour and a half into the episode, the news drops. So we went back to the Vikings conversation, so it is talked about in O-line committee post soon. What are the details here? Do we know, like, when did it happen? He looked banged up, but he didn't look like missed games banged up.
A couple of things off of that. First of all, Adam Schefter's sources have weighed in. I know you're shocked by this news. JJ McCarthy is expected to be sidelined 2 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. So it's not an ankle sprain. It's a high, which means that's a problem. And so that's why O'Connell was saying he doesn't expect short-term IR, but if they decide it's going to be 4 weeks, they might as well put him on that. Obviously, he can come back after 4 weeks. So here's what transpired. And I didn't know what to make of it at the time, but what happened was in the third quarter, JJ McCarthy scrambled, and he ends up along the Vikings sideline, right in front of their bench, and he's taken down and goes down a little bit oddly. Nothing like, I mean, it was basically a football tackle, but his foot got it looked like it got trapped a little bit. Clearly it did. So what was interesting was he sort of hobbled off, but it didn't look, awful. He hobbled off, went to the bench, was sitting there. I think he started to look at a tablet, and the trainer came up. They put his leg up on the bench, and they spatted through my field glasses. What I saw was this. They spatted the foot with tape over the shoe. So, like, they didn't take it off. Now, my guess is they knew it was an ankle, and much like in hockey, you don't want to take a skate off, because if you take it off, it starts to swell. So they spatted it. Now, here's the interesting thing. So before the Vikings' next series, and this is not a joke, before the Vikings' next series, Carson Wentz runs on the field in front of the bench and starts warming up in earnest.
The cameras picked that up on NBC.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
that was
perfect.
like, okay, was he bored? What's happening?
But I've
or
seen
are they
the guy
benching McCarthy? We didn't know.
That's what I thought at first. But and look, I've seen the backup go out and do that, but like this was like urgent. And the other thing I saw later was Wentz was like warming up on the sideline, like doing calisthenics to get himself loose. Anyway, here's what's weird or funny. Wentz is doing this and he's throwing, and I'm like, oh boy, something's up here, perhaps. And then they're doing at the same time a light show. So they take the lights in the house down completely. And people are, I don't know, they passed out something. So it's like a purple haze thing or something. Anyway, long story short, I can't see anything.
Oh, no.
I'm sounding like Dukes here. I can't see. What am I supposed to do? And then the next thing I see, as the lights start to come back up, McCarthy trots on the field and that was that. So we definitely know, though, third quarter on a scramble play, and we definitely know that the Vikings, they obviously didn't know the seriousness at the time, but they knew he was hurt.
Okay. Really interesting. Since we're just kind of kicking this around and reacting on the fly, and we're just a bunch of friends who talk about the Vikings every day here on Purple Daily, I think this is a safe space for me to just ask some questions. Is that fair? Just a couple.
Yes, go ahead.
Reckless
Let's hear it.
speculation.
Let's say Carson Wentz comes in against the Cincinnati Bengals, lights it up, quarterback rehab school, first couple classes. He's starting to pick things up. He's being a good student the last couple weeks. Maybe he doesn't know the whole playbook yet, but he knows enough to go for, let's say, 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, and maybe there's like one Carson Wentz bad turnover or something.
Sure.
What will your general feeling be? Or maybe if let's say it's a 2 to 4 week window. Let's say Carson Wentz plays the next 3 games. He plays Bengals and then the 2 games in Europe. And that seems like I think he's going to start. If it's a 2 to 4 week window, okay, then cool. JJ, just go be a dad and ice your ankle for the next month. And we'll see you on the other side of the bye, right? Let's say Carson Wentz averages 245 yards a game and over the next 3 games has 8-9 touchdowns, couple interceptions, but the ball is moving up and down the field like you want it to in this offense.
Yep.
How will you feel about that? How will you react to that on the other side of the bye?
Do you win the games as well?
Let's say you go at least 2-1 over the next 3 games, and the offense is much better than it's been the first 2 weeks.
I think first of all, I don't think that you can dismiss that they would stick with him. Certainly not, right? After what we've seen for 2 games, oh boy. Like, there's a lot of things to work here. There's a lot. This is really juicy. I don't think, like, if you ask them and they honestly answer you right now, I don't think they would have the answer, but I think it's incredibly juicy. And if he's hitting 18's got a few touchdowns, let's say on Sunday. No.
Mike says Dex will name his son Carson if this.
And no one knows the name yet.
No one knows the name.
No one knows. I found out that the young folks today like to hide the names. You can't find out the names.
Yeah,
JJ's wife didn't want to until she put out the Instagram, was it, or
yeah?
So I guess you like to hide
People
names
are judgy.
now.
People are judgy. They judge. So I'd rather just have the judgment out when little man arrives here into the world.
Back in my day,
You want to throw a test trial balloon out so that if
No.
people hate the name, then we got 3 weeks still.
I typically tell it's Optimus Prime is when people are like, what's the name? Optimus Prime is usually like my go-to. That's a Transformer for those who are unfamiliar.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. We have been tight-lipped, and people are upset. I think because they want to know what the hell we're naming this kid.
Friends or family?
Both. People are they're antsy. They want to know what the hell's going on.
I'm not upset. I just when I tried to ask McCarthy what the kid's name was on Friday. And he's like, well, my fiance wants to release that. I'll check with her, but I think she wants to release it. And I'm like, that's fine. I just didn't know. I literally didn't know. No judgment. I don't care.
So what
Keep
would
the
have
name
to
yourself
happen?
for all I care.
What would have to happen against the Bengals for you to name your child Carson? I guess how many touchdown passes?
Yeah.
6?
Nothing.
What if it's 6?
No, nothing. Could have a perfect passer rating, and no. Not
Is
at all.
this JJ's job to get back, Judd? Let's get back on topic here. Is this JJ's job to get back, regardless of how Carson Wentz plays when he's healthy?
After how he's played, after what's happened, if Carson Wentz is awful, then I think it just reverts back to McCarthy.
Well, that's an easy change,
right? But if Carson Wentz plays well and moves the offense and can operate what O'Connell wants, then yeah, I think he probably has to get the job back. I mean, if they go 3-0 or 2-1, I think it's hard to bench Carson Wentz at that point. Now, I have no idea what you're going to get because Carson Wentz is one of the goofiest careers I've ever seen.
It's kind of wild.
Borderline MVP in his second year, I think. Gets hurt. His team wins a Super Bowl. He reclaims the starting job, speaking of job to get back, and it sort of just goes in the tank slowly but surely. So I don't have any clue. I guess I don't know that we're going to be getting 2017 Carson Wentz, But I do think that if he does what O'Connell wants and can accomplish it, and the offense looks organized, which it really hasn't so far, then yeah, I think that there's a case to be made with the talent on this team that McCarthy won't just be handed the job back.
There was also Carson Wentz when he was with Indianapolis not that long ago. It was 2021. He played largely really well through the first 15 games. I think that was the first year where we went to the old 17 game schedule, or it was thereabouts. Yeah, because they were 9-6 going into weeks 17 and 18, games 16 and 17. And at that point, Carson Wentz they were 9-6 when he started, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, only 25 sacks taken, which has been kind of a thing throughout his career too. And he was doing pretty well. And then I remember watching a couple of those games. He went complete blue screen of death in the last couple of games, and they it was really sour to the point where they had to move on after the season was over.
Cost the first round pick.
Yeah, because he triggered the it was
thing.
one of those it could be this, or if he plays 75% of the snaps. So he's such a Jekyll and Hyde player, but if there was ever an infrastructure and a coach for him to revive his career, this would be one of those situations. This would be it. This Rams, Niners, Mac Jones, 3 touchdowns this last weekend. This would be one of the places.
And just like Darnold in 2024 came from a year on the bench in San Francisco where he took a masterclass in Shanahanisms. Carson Wentz is coming here from the McVay school, right? Got some experience there. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And given how this team is constructed, because if this was just sort of a meh team and McCarthy was given the keys and they're like, hey, kid, whatever happens, but we want you to develop. But this team doesn't have that.
Yeah.
We talked about this on the first episode of Purple Daily today. This team has a certain amount, and it's fairly significant, in my opinion, of pressure to win. So if Carson Wentz wins, I don't think you can take the car keys away because McCarthy was your guy. It's just, this is going to put them in a really, really interesting place if he plays well.
Yeah.
I know exactly how this is going to go. He is going to ball out on Sunday against the Bengals. He's going to play
I agree.
very well.
It's going to be
I know
hilarious.
I know I'm the youngest of us three, but I have seen this act already too many times, and I have willingly bought tickets front row to the play knowing what's going to happen. He's probably going to play very well in the first game or two leading up to the bye.
That's what I'm curious about.
That's
Not the first game, the next
that
game.
I'm actually much more confident in, ironically enough, than JJ McCarthy coming in and getting the job back, and Schefter saying it's out 2 to 4 weeks potentially with this ankle sprain. So you map it out post bye week. Then it just becomes, because we saw Josh Dobbs come in, light it up. It was fun. He's getting interviewed on Sunday Night Football and then completely turns himself back into a pumpkin. Sam Darnold last year had his moments where he looked like a pumpkin and obviously turned himself into one the last 2 games of the season where they just moved on from him. But I am very confident Carson Wentz, and this is coming from someone who can't stand this quarterback. I do not like him. I think he has shipwrecked franchises. He has gotten coaches fired. I do not want this as a long-term viable option. But I know he's going to play very well on Sunday because this is how this works.
I think he plays well on Sunday. I'm more curious because Dobbs came in and played great. And
you can't compare Dobbs to Carson Wentz.
No, but my point is with Dobbs, they were making it up as they went, and it actually worked then. But the more he played, and I feel like if you're a blue screen of death guy, to use Phil's phrase, it doesn't necessarily catch up to you in the first game where you just start and it's like a fresh. You're like, this is great. I'm starting. It catches up to you over a period of time. I mean, Darnold definitely last year, as well as he played, had the blue screen of death games and moments. And so here's my issue. Do I think Carson Wentz, modern day, right now, could be more fun than McCarthy to watch play, perhaps? Yeah, maybe.
More fun?
More fun as in watching McCarthy play these 2 games. Last night was a struggle, man. Like watching last night was tough.
Yeah, more
So
more effective and
yeah,
like
more
yeah.
fun, like fun football. Like I want to see good fun football games.
Like get a first down once in a while.
The Vikings have literally played probably the 2 worst games in the National Football League all season. There's been great games everywhere, it feels like, and the Vikings can barely move. But do I think he can play over an extended period of time and play well? Do I think he can win you a Super Bowl? No, I don't. I'm not saying McCarthy can right now, but he needs to get the chance. So again, the Vikings are painted into a very interesting corner.
Okay, I'm going to keep throwing questions out just for fun. Just, we're just 3 friends who...
This is almost trolling, is what this is now. You're almost trolling.
If the Vikings were to win, let's say they were to bounce back from how these first couple games have looked, and let's say they were to win 11 games this year and win a playoff game or 2, is it more likely, based on what you've seen the first 2 weeks, that happens with JJ McCarthy as the quarterback or Carson Wentz?
Oh, God. Can I take neither?
No.
Okay. Max Brosmer.
I mean, if you want to make a case for someone on the roster, then I would hear that case, because Max Brosmer is now 1 hit away, right? Well, he's going to be a hit away from being in the game this Sunday.
Here's the sad thing: I might be curious to see it at this point. That's a very sad thing to say. I just don't know if Carson Wentz. I've seen too many. Like Declan hates the man. I don't hate him, but I certainly have seen a history. His recent history is not good. I guess I would go with Wentz just because McCarthy right now I don't know, but I do it begrudgingly.
So Phil detailed the crapping of the bed in Indianapolis, where they just had to beat 2 pretty much cakewalk teams to march into the playoffs, and they couldn't do that.
It was like the Jaguars and some other crappy team. Yeah.
In 2017, his best year in the league, he finishes 3rd in MVP, but he gets hurt like in the 14th, 15th game, but the Eagles had already wrapped up, I believe, the 1 seed, or were on the verge of doing so. So he doesn't play a snap because he gets hurt in the 2017 Super Bowl team that Nick Foles leads. And then he comes back in 2019 and plays pretty well and gets hurt like in the first series of the postseason game, where, again, they end up losing that game. I think Foles came in, or I don't know if it was Foles, but someone came in 2019 during that playoff game. They lose, they go 1 and done. Philadelphia does. But either by horrible bad luck with injuries or just puking down your entire gut, when it's been the brightest, he hasn't done it. So to answer Phil's question, do I have more trust that McCarthy can give them to 11 wins and a playoff win or whatever that looks like than Carson Wentz? I still will open the mystery box that is McCarthy over the Carson Wentz.
But McCarthy is less of a mystery box.
Is that a mystery box?
Because we've seen him for 2 weeks. By the way, I'm still buying. In fact, I would, if JJ McCarthy was a sports stock, I would be buying additional JJ McCarthy long-term stock.
Sure, yeah.
Because he's 22 years old, and of course, people are going to bail after the first couple games. I am in on the JJ McCarthy long-term stock.
Yeah.
But the Vikings, this was part of the risk of taking a veteran-laden, ready-made roster that won 14 games last year into the season, tough schedule, is that if your young quarterback didn't align timeline-wise with your roster, and Boone and Searles did a great job laying some of this out. They told some stories about the 2016 Vikings, where they had brought in Bridgewater got hurt, and they brought in Bradford, so they had a veteran quarterback. But the offense wasn't producing; the defense was. And it got to a point where there was like fights in the locker room on a regular basis because defensive players are like, this is my effing career, man. You guys can't move the football. What's happening? And resentment can build. Now, Zimmer wasn't the leader to put that out as much. I think Kevin O'Connell tends to hold it together a little bit better. But this was the risk. It's like in one way or another, the weak link would be your 22-year-old quarterback. And now you've got a decision to make. If a veteran, like, do you lean on a veteran instead? If the veteran's playing well, do you turn back to the young guy and let his development continue?
Well, if you're winning games, I don't think you can. If he's playing okay or he's playing well and you're still not winning games, I think you probably can. But so here's the best part. You should ask Booney and Searles. How many times did you talk to people, especially the media, about these things? Because I would always, if things got bad, were like one side of the ball, was doing its job and the other side was not, I would always go to players and hint around about this has to be tough to watch. I mean, your offense can't score. I felt bad for him. Your offense can't score. What are you going to do?
You can lean on me. Well,
and it's always like, oh, that's nothing. It's nothing. We're a team. We're a team. And then you close the door, media access ends, and you get three fist fights.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. I should add this. So, and take this for what it's worth. Seifert, our friend Kevin Seifert, ESPN, did ask O'Connell about the if this was all about JJ being hurt. Because, and I've seen comments, I don't blame them. There's some interpretation here that this is a soft benching. O'Connell said he is hurt bad enough. It's not a soft benching. So do they feed Schefter the story he's out 2 to 4 weeks? It's like, oh man, this is going to be 2 to 4 weeks. Like, all I'm saying is I've already seen some questions about, was that asked at the press conference? It was asked. You can't control the answer. But, I mean, that's certainly going to be part of the speculation here. And I don't blame folks that this is he tweaked his ankle. And they said, man, that's really bad, 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Vikings are saying, no way.
It smells a little fishy because usually, look what they've done, for example, with the Christian Darrisaw and even Harrison Smith injuries. But Christian Darrisaw specifically, they've been so coy about his readiness. He's a full participant one day, then he's a limited participant, and only like an hour and a half before the game when the inactives have to come out, do they then reveal Christian Darrisaw's not playing. Sorry, yeah, I know you guys thought he was going to play. This is Monday, 15, 18 hours after they played. The game got over at like 10:30 last night. He does that press conference 13 hours after the final whistle. And the whole week you could play coy with the Bengals. We're going through their own quarterback situation right now because Burrow's out for 3 months.
Sure.
And you could list him. He didn't participate in practice on Wednesday. Oh, what's happening? And you could just play that whole game out all week long like most teams do. So you know how Bill Simmons does Conspiracy Bill? I'm going to steal a bit here and call it Conspiracy Phil.
Oh, wow.
If this was Conspiracy Phil, I would give you the windy fingers and ask, why would you definitively come out with this information on Monday? Why does Schefter have the 2 to 4 week timeline? What is it possible that the Vikings? I'm not denying that. I'm sure he got banged up. It's a football game.
Yeah.
But is it possible the Vikings said, okay, he has looked totally out of his element in 7 of the 8 quarters. He missed a bunch of open throws. Kevin O'Connell had some stern discussions with McCarthy that the cameras picked up on the sidelines yesterday. He's a new father as of like 72 hours ago. He's got a ton on his plate right now. It feels off. Everything is just discombobulated. Let's lean into the injury here for a few weeks, and let's not bury the kid, but let's get out in front of this and say, yep, it's a high ankle. It's going to be like a month. Let's get through the bye week and then reassess in a month from now.
I can't believe you think a team would do that. I can't believe it. In all my years, I've never seen anything shenanigans like that. No, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense, and honestly, it might be the greatest favor that they can do him right now. Because I will say this, you do run the risk, especially with the way O'Connell has called games so far, of really damaging his confidence.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know. So like I just wrote for the Substack, Jordan Mason has to get the ball more. Like Jordan Mason, lean on him too. And we talked about 3 or 4 specific situations last night where Jordan Mason should have got the ball, and instead you get cued or you try and pass and it does not work. But yeah, I think that there's a lot going on behind the scenes here in Vikingville, which would not be the first time.
Also, the offensive line has been so bad, and it was atrocious. And Booney will break down the film for us tomorrow night. But just protection lapses, communication lapses. So as your offensive line is trying to get healthy and figure out, are you putting out a third string left tackle or are you putting out Christian Darrisaw for the first time in a year? You got to get some stuff right up front.
And your center.
And it's in your center. You had a center who's never played in the NFL before.
Yeah.
So are you who has a better chance to essentially quote unquote defend themselves under center?
Or who do you care less about?
Or if a guy gets trucked 7 times in one half,
Hey.
who would you rather sacrifice?
Hey,
And I
Carson,
think
we're
the
really
answer to
sorry.
both those questions is Carson Wentz, right?
Oh God, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. That's where, yeah, I agree. It's just very convenient, and he's probably hurt. But is he hurt to be out a month? Maybe not. And it's just like, okay, let's just shelve him for now. Now we should talk about this though. The injury list is incredible right now.
Let's hold on. Let's get to that in a second here.
Put a pause on.
Let's get to that. You
Can't-
may have to move some new players into the franchise. You may have to sign some random guys off waivers, and if they're looking for new homes and help moving decks, who should they contact?
They should contact Two Men and a Truck, twomenandatruck.com for your quote. No hidden fees, no weird service charges built into there. They'll in fact send you a spreadsheet what has to be moved out of this place. They have trucks of all shapes and sizes to help make those moves happen. I've used them. Phil has used them. If you're moving, it's one of the most stressful things you can do. So let the pros handle it at Two Men and a Truck. Tell them that Purple Daily sent you. Go to twomenandatruck.com.
Also, Federated Insurance. Federated is like having a great offensive line for your business, all right? If you have a rickety offensive line, if you don't feel good about the way that you or your current insurance company are protecting your workplace, your reputation, employees, financial assets, Federated Insurance specializes in putting together customized plans for small to medium-sized businesses, the backbone of America. They also work with next-generation business owners. So if you recently took over a family business, maybe you're a younger business owner, Federated can provide a valuable guiding hand. So find out more about the 120-year history of this company at federatedinsurance.com. That's also coincidentally the last time the Vikings had a consistently reliable quarterback situation, 120 years ago. Right? Federatedinsurance.com. So, yeah, the injury report it's carnage.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones likely out with the hammy.
They said he's got down. Yeah, O'Connell said Aaron Jones, who I think he was banged up a lot last year, but I don't think he missed a game.
He did not.
With
no.
the hamstring. He is down, it sounds like. So he will not play. And he's a 31-year-old with a hamstring. My guess, he ain't down for a week. He's going to be out for a few weeks.
Yep.
Because if you bring him back and he can rip it then, that's worse. Ryan Kelly concussed. Justin School concussed. Christian Darrisaw, the obligatory question was asked at the O'Connell press conference. Hey, Chancey plays? And O'Connell said this is truly a week-to-week thing, which, again, I'm not totally buying. I think that they have a very good idea here. But I also think that they're trying to get him in as much as they can in practices and things like that. Blake Cashman, as we know from last week, along with Ty Chandler on IR.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly actually had a toe problem, too, so now he's got a bad foot and a bad head. Jeff Okudah out with a concussion. Now, Okudah, it's interesting. If you go back and look, I've not looked yet. If you look at the snap count from last night, though, the Vikings are, through these first two games, I think they're employing as much or more big nickel as they are the traditional one. It feels like Dwight McGlothern, played last night and actually played okay, but it felt like he had played very few snaps, and what you had was Theo Jackson, who I think had a nice game after not having a good opener, Josh Metellus, and Jay Ward. So they're not playing as much of the traditional nickel three corners as they did previously.
Yeah. They play Isaiah Rodgers played 63, Byron Murphy Jr. played 62, and then Dwight McGlothern was the third cornerback, 11 snaps for him. Mm-hmm. But that's how you want. At one point they had Josh Metellus is lined up outside in coverage at times in that game. In fact, Metellus lined up as an outside corner 5 times, slot 5 times.
Yeah,
he's lined up on Kyle Pitts a couple times.
That's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
The Pitts matchup
he held his
was
own pretty
especially
well.
tough. To go back to the injury report, Andrew Van Ginkel, concussion, did not play. Harrison Smith, illness, has been out forever now. I mentioned Darrisaw. So this is just a lot of guys now. This feels like a longer injury report, and this might be recency bias, than I saw it any time last year.
Yeah. Yep, this is bad. It's kind of incredible. You have all these thoughts on what could happen. You're going through a schedule, and injuries absolutely throw everything upside down. or bad quarterback play, throw everything upside down. If they were 0-2 right now, if they had not come back, if JJ McCarthy didn't have the one good quarter out of the 8, the season would kind of be over. If they were 0-2 right now in this division with this schedule. So ironically, even though we're sitting here saying maybe it's not the worst thing for McCarthy to just like sit back for a month, take a deep breath, get his life in order, get his body in order. His one big quarter still has the Vikings kind of, all right, we're on our feet still. And if you can just win 2 of the next 3 games, get to the bye week at 3-2, and then you can reassess how things are playing out from there. But wow. Yeah, if people are just joining, there's 3,000 people hanging out with us here live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Click that like button, the subscribe button. JJ McCarthy likely out, according to reports, 2 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain.
He's literally going on quarterback and fatherhood paternity leave. This is quarterback and fatherhood paternity leave.
Yeah,
it's wild, man. And for thing I keep banging my head against the wall is I should know better because this just happens. Can this franchise ever just be normal? Just like I was so excited. I was so excited to watch a full season of JJ McCarthy and even the ups and downs. And it's been mostly downs for the 8 quarters that we've watched so far. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with riding this and watching this play out. And now for the next month, I got to figure out if Carson Wentz or, God, if it happens, Max Brosmer has to come in and maybe take his job. Just
what if Brosmer's really good?
Oh,
what if Brosmer's the Purdy?
Might be. I think that's the fun.
Is that like the mic? 57's the mic.
What number is
Brosmer's the Purdy? Brosmer's the Purdy.
Is he number 12?
Yeah.
12's the mic. 12's the franchise guy. Yeah. Crazy, man. Yeah, but I mean, Declan's right. Every time you think, okay, now there's a path for this thing to happen, this franchise always pulls a U-turn.
Unfortunately, this is sort of the ups and downs of a football season lots of times. Like, I feel like as long as we keep guys out of jail and off of boats, I'm fine. But, like, this is what happens. And it's interesting because I think there's 2 distinct points to make here. One is JJ McCarthy sitting out right now. Unfortunate, but probably not the worst thing, right? Mm-hmm. But then, as Phil has said, and I agree with this completely, you should not be giving up. Like, this is not a referendum on the dude's career. So it's 2 very different things because I feel like if you say, well, you know what, it's probably best Wentz starts, there are some who say, yeah, you're right. JJ McCarthy's a complete bust. Mm-hmm. I mean, Colin Cowherd taking victory laps like you wouldn't believe today. And so I'm not going there yet. Like, we haven't seen enough. Sorry.
Agreed.
But I do think from the first 2 games, if he was ever going to get hurt, sit out, this might not be the worst thing because if nothing else, it allows him to take a step back.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's just, well, man, this is going to be fascinating because I do think, their defense has been injured and a little leaky in some areas. Like the running game last night was
the running game is near the bottom of the league through 2 games.
Yeah.
Or the
but
once
defense, I think Harrison Smith, I think, helps with some of that, and Andrew Van Ginkel, obviously. So you're not guaranteed to have a healthy defense. Look at the Lions last year. You might have to deal with a bunch of injuries, and that's life in the NFL.
Right.
But I do still think once everything kind of settles in, that this is going to be one of the 5 to 10 best defenses in the league, and so you should still be able to lean on some of that. Can you score enough points? Can you score 23 points once in a while? Move the chains. And the answer through 2 games has been no. So the bar is pretty low for Carson Wentz. And I'll positive Phil will leave you with this thought. 2025 Carson Wentz. I think he has more in the tank than 2017 Case Keenum if you would have asked me before that season.
Yeah, well,
the Vikings have gone to the NFC Championship game with far lesser quarterbacks than 2025 Carson Wentz.
To go back to what you like to say, this all depends. It did with Darnold. It did with Case, and Zimmer warned everyone all year long. When does it go blue screen of death? Like, it's going to happen. When does it happen? Because until it happens, you can go a long way.
Well, let's say Carson Wentz goes blue screen of death. There is another phone call you could make for a familiar quarterback between now and whenever JJ McCarthy gets thrown back out there. He was in town last night. I'm just saying. He was in town last night, chin strapped up, hanging out on the sideline.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dante Culpepper.
No.
Dante was
What?
there last night.
Oh, okay.
Dante's been.
I'm
been
talking
in
about
town
Kirk Cousins, to be
a
clear.
lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I
have no idea how you didn't know it was Kirk on the first bat, but that's all right.
Well, Dante, get your roll on. Get your roll on.
I love Dante, but
Was Tommy Kramer in the building too?
Yeah.
Tommy Kramer. I think Tommy was there.
was.
Dante's lost a ton of weight. Looks good.
Yep.
He got really heavy, and now it looks good.
Yeah. So, well, classic Vikings. Whenever you think things are about to settle in for a predictable future, then
I'm pissed.
they always zag in the other direction.
Don't be pissed. You're about to be a father. Your greatest time of your life.
That's fine. I'm ready for that too. Okay, I'm anticipating that. That this is just God. Why? Why does this happen? Why?
That's your son. That's your son's name.
Why?
Why? Why?
I wonder if I could. No.
The life of a Minnesota sports fan.
funny.
I named my son Why.
Oh.
By the way, Thor's Day coming up in a couple of days here.
I hope we can find him.
Oh, man.
This might be a lot.
Our guy Thor. Someone do a check on
It's in
Thor
witness
today.
protection. Someone just offered up.
All right, dudes. Well, we'll be back with a ton of stuff tomorrow. Our State of the Vikings. It'll be our first State of the Vikings episode on Purple Daily tomorrow. We'll get some more news and information from our guy Doogie. And Jeremiah Searles' O-line committee crossover. He's jumping in once a month. There'll be a Trenches episode with a film breakdown on Wednesday. Write that down, predictions. So things are never dull in the Vikings universe here. Purple Daily, 365 days a year, mostly therapy this week for you guys.